So I know this episode is late. I know it's real late, but I just had a lot going on. So for me to finally push it out today is a win for me. A very low rent win, but a win nonetheless. I wanted to get it out this week. That way I can go ahead and throw out the other one a few days from now or whatnot. But this is Box Office Talk. I am August C. Jones, and I am here to talk about the box office. And I'm throwing a little bit of reviews up in today's episode as well. This is episode 3 of Box Office Talk. Now, for those who are just now tuning in, if you don't know how Box Office Talk, I basically give my predictions of the week prior of what movies I feel was going to take the top 5 spot in the box office. What movies actually did take the top 5 spot box in the box office. And then talk about the upcoming movies for the upcoming weekend, and then get my predictions for next week, and then throw some little news things, news articles, or whatever I want to put my thoughts into along the way, anything that's pertaining to the box office. And that's really how I do this. So to start off today's episode, let's go ahead and jump right into my last week's predictions. So I predicted that Ford v Ferrari was going to come in at number 1. Charlie's Angels was going to be at number 2. The Good Liar at number 3. Midway at number 4. And Dr. Sleep at number 5. And I wasn't completely off, but I kind of was because Ford v Ferrari did take the number 1 spot last weekend. Doing in at 31.4 million. Midway took the number 2 spot with 8.5 million, and Charlie's Angels came in at 8.35 million. Wow, we're gonna get into that. But at number 4 was Playing with Fire with 8.33 million, and number 5 was Last Christmas, which is a good movie. I still need to put out my review about it, and I'm gonna do it in the month of December. But it finished off the top 5 with 6.4 million. And just to add to that, number 7, The Good Liar, came in at number 7 with 5.6 million. So let's go ahead and get right into what won the weekend and basically my thoughts about it. So I kind of knew that Ford v Ferrari was going to come in at number 1. That was kind of like a no-brainer because it wasn't no bigger, major, studio films coming in that was going to top that. And Ford v Ferrari just looked like one of those films that it was going to catch the eye of a lot of people. I didn't think it was going to like do crazy like $100 million opening or close to that. But I felt like out of all the movies that were coming out that last weekend, that was the one that was going to catch the eye of most people because you're putting up against the Charlie's Angels, which I kind of had that under it, and then you had The Good Liar, which I don't think anybody really knew anything about the movie or was too of note about it. And I know y'all heard my son in the background screaming. He's watching YouTube. But in any case, that one is not really a big thing. I knew that was going to come up in there. The big thing about this past weekend, was Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels is a big stir about it because it hits one of those things to where it's like, I guess you could say I could put it in the realm of like, what is it? The Ghostbusters movie, where all female Ghostbusters movie. And just how big of an uproar people would just not really want to see it. They wanted to boycott it for whatever reason. Just stupid, all around, just stupid reasons. And so just to get into that, Elizabeth Banks came out before the movie even like premiered, like last week, before it even came out. And basically had some words for it. Just kind of saying that it was kind of like a sexism type thing. Saying that, look, people have to buy tickets to this movie too. If this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces the stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see women do action. And it's like, yeah, I can kind of agree with that because, I mean, we see it. We see it. And like how I just mentioned with the whole female-led Ghostbusters movie and all that stuff, a lot of men might look at it as like, I don't relate to women doing action. I don't relate to it. So I'm not going to go see it, or that it's like, oh, they're trying to, say something with women power and all this stuff. And a lot of men don't like that. And I don't get that. I truly don't get that. But I see what she's saying. There is a stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see women do action or action movies. I mean, it's not all accurate all the time, but at the same time, it is a stereotype. And then and she also points out up in the article that she doesn't count Wonder Woman and she doesn't count Captain Marvel, because even though those movies had great success, they're all part of a male dominated genre, that those movies lead up to other movies that have other characters and everything else involved. And I could see that. It was like, because when you look at this article right off bat and you hear her statements that men don't go see women do action, then your first thing that's going to come to mind is Wonder Woman. Everyone loves Wonder Woman. And then Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel did over $1 billion. Those are the first two characters that are going to come to mind. The first two movies are going to come to mind. But then when she puts it in that type of sense that it does lead to a bigger universe, it's like, yeah, okay, I can see that. So it's like, I don't know, like, I feel like it's a lot of stuff that goes along with that rather than what she just says. And even though she still has pride up in the movie. And that's awesome because she wrote, directed, and produced this film. So, of course, you're going to have pride in the movie. And I saw the movie. I loved the movie. I thought it was really good. I know a lot of people didn't like it. Whether you are one of those men that don't like, women-based action films, or you just looked at it and just thought it as a film, whether or not it was male or female, it was just not a good to put together a good film. Whatever the hell, I thought it was good. I really enjoyed myself out of it. And I'm going to get my review on it real soon on this episode. But there's a lot of stuff that go into it. I mean, first you got to think about it. It's like, how many people are clamoring for a Charlie's Angels reboot? Or in this case, it was basically kind of like a sequel, or a spin-off of sorts, kind of like a mixture in between. How many people were clamoring for just a Charlie's Angels movie to come to think? How many people were clamoring for that? Look on the internet. How many people do you see in any forums talking about, like, man, where's the Charlie's Angels movie? That can come into factor. And then it can come into factor of, like, when you look at the past movies, how many people were truly excited for those films? And it just, you don't get a big consistent, you don't get a big consensus of people that want to see a Charlie's Angels movie. And that's not even just a Charlie's Angels, that's films like it that are based off of older, source material. And so it's sad to say, but that is basically what it kind of boils down to. It's just who is interested in seeing this movie. And you can say that about a lot of other movies. I mean, so, I mean, a lot of times it's not all about, just the men don't want to see this and all that stuff, because you got to think, a lot of men don't really make up majority. Well, I don't even have the number, so I'm not even about to say it. But you still have a lot of women that work hard, that make their own money, that go to see these movies. So you can't just solely base it on the men, even though they might make up a large portion of the movie-going audience. I mean, you still have a lot of women that pull out the money out of their pocket to go see these movies. So it's really just based on, is it a good film? Does this appeal to us? Does it look like it's a movie that I want to spend money on? That's what it boils down to. But when you look at just all of the income, because over the weekend, this movie, it basically flopped hard. It flopped really hard. On a budget of between 48 million to 55 million, the first weekend brought in 8.35 million and with the world budget being 27.6 million. And then to look back at the other Charlie's Angels movies that came out in the 2000s with Charlize Theron. Oh my gosh, Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore and Lucy Liu. We got the first one opening at 40 million with a worldwide total of 264.1 million. The second one, Full Throttle, came in at on his opening weekend with 37.6 million, and his worldwide total was 259.1 million. So it did a modest type of budget by the end of his run and did a good little opening, way more than what this one did. But even then, it's like you gotta look at it. It's like, you know, you're taking a gamble with a property like this. This wasn't a major popular type of property. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. So it's like, and then you gotta look. Back in the 2000s was totally different than now. Movies are totally different. The expectations of movies are different. Some movies may surprise you. Joker, you know, I don't think anybody thought that movie was gonna make $1 billion. But hey, it hit $1 billion. Didn't have crazy actions or anything up in there, but it hit that mark. And then when it comes down to it, you just gotta look at what the public are looking at nowadays. Nowadays, you might have to make a superhero movie in order to be successful, but that don't even guarantee you money. You know, because we've seen some within the last 5 something years that, you know, were just horrible. But in any case, it's like, I don't know, it's a lot of factors going to it. More than likely, when you break it down, it comes out to being more than just men don't want to see women do action. When men aren't the only people that go to the movies, you got women that go to the movies. So I mean, take this as a loss, be proud of it, but at the same time, you just gotta know what your audience is, who are you aiming for, and how can you market it to not even just your audience, but to other audience, you know, to other demographics and stuff like that. I don't know. It's a lot to go into it. But with that, let me go ahead and jump right into my Charlie's Angels review. Just now that I'm talking about it, so this movie, like I said, I really did like it. I really did. I thought it was a really good movie. I was really into it. I thought it was a reboot, which it kind of is, like a soft reboot. But watching the movie, it's kind of like a spin-off sequel because it does have references to the Drew Barrymore, Cameron Diaz, Lucy Liu movies or whatever, you know, The Angels, because it has to do with like a network of just angels. And this movie is just basically about, is this a girl, I forgot her name up in the movie, but she's played by Naomi Scott, and she is doing something for this company, and she finds out that they're trying to use this technology for something nefarious. So she wants to blow the whistle on it by contacting the angels, and she ends up basically becoming the target of said company. And now the angels have to get involved to stop the threat from actually getting out there into the open and protect her life. And with that, it has a connection of angels, like I said. So it has references toward it. So yeah, it is a spinoff. It is a sequel, kind of mixture or whatever. It had a lot of funny parts. It really did. I didn't expect to really even like find it humorous, but I did find it real humorous. Though a lot of the fighting, even though a lot of the action was really good, a lot of the action was really, really good. A lot of the fighting seemed kind of like the editing and the stuff that go along with it was hard to make out. And I'm not a real big fan of that, because if it looks like good action, I want to see it. I don't want to see this, that, blah, 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 all over the place. Like, don't give me 1,000 shots in one freaking second. Like, I want to see the action. And that was one of the things that just kind of threw me off, because after a while, I just got tired of it. It didn't do it for every single fight, but a lot of it, yeah, it was filled with that. It was a really good spy movie. A really good spy movie. And I mean, it wasn't anything that was standoutish. It wasn't anything where it was like, this did it better than Mission Impossible, did it better than Atomic Blonde or James Bond and stuff. But it was a pretty decent spy movie. And Kristen Stewart was actually really good. Actually, one of the best parts of the movie that I did like, and I know a lot, she get a lot of flack from just what she did with Twilight, even like Robert Pattinson and people that were even involved in that. But you know, a lot of times movies like that or series like that can take people away from how good of an actor a person really is. And I've seen other reviews. I know a lot of people wasn't taken by, you know, Kristen Stewart in this movie, but I thought that she had a lot of personality, a lot of charisma, and that she blended well in with the other characters and everything else. and that she had a lot of chemistry with the characters and how they bounced off each other. But that's not taken away from all the other characters. Naomi Scott did good. Ella Balinski, who played the other angel, she did good. Elizabeth Banks, she did good up in there. And I like Patrick Stewart up in this movie. He was real good. They had a lot of stuff going up in there. Not even to get into any spoilers, but they had some stuff in there that kind of was like, either you're going to predict it or you're not. So it does have a lot of that going on in the movie. But I actually thought it was a really good film. I think that it's good enough that I could recommend it. That if you were on the fence of going to go see it, I say check it out. Because you may end up liking it, may not love it, but you may end up not regretting buying your ticket to go see it or whatnot. But I say it's worth checking out. I give it an 8. But getting to anything else, the only other thing that about the box office that stand out to me is The Good Liar. The Good Liar. Actually, thinking about it, it doesn't really truly stand out to me because it didn't come off as one of those movies that appealed to a lot of people. I did not truly go into this thinking that it was going to do gangbusters. I saw a lot of trailers to it, but at the same time, looking at it now, it's like I didn't. Yeah, it's like it coming in at number 7 is not surprising because I don't know. It doesn't look like a movie that would appeal to a crazy amount of people. It would appeal to a person like me who go to the movies every single week. But to an average moviegoer who pick and chooses when they and where or what they want to spend their money on, it doesn't seem like one of those movies that they would just like, oh, The Good Liar, this look interesting. Let me go ahead and break out $10 and go see this. It doesn't seem like one of those movies. But I mean, hey, I haven't seen it yet. I'm planning on going to go see it tonight. Hopefully, I do find it good. But I mean, I don't know. Like, it just, I don't know. That's one of the things that just stood out to me. If it is good, you're going to hear me saying, like, they should have put a little bit more into it. But in any case, that's really all else that stands out to me about the box office. Let's jump right into what's coming this week or what came out this weekend, which is Frozen 2. Frozen 2. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which is the story about Mr. Rogers and all that stuff, and it's starring Tom Hanks and Matthew Rice. And the third movie is 21 Bridges with Chadwick Boseman. And this movie is about a New York detective who is out to try to find these cop killers and to basically narrow the search. They closed down all 21 bridges on Manhattan to do this. And out of all these movies, Frozen, I already saw. I'm going to put up my review next week. I ended up seeing it with my son, and he is in the review somewhat, but I had recorded it, and I'm going to be putting that up soon. But A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood was a really good film. Let me go ahead and jump into the review of that so I can add to this. But the movie was really good. It was one of those inspiring type films. It had a lot of nostalgia to it, and it had a lot of emotion to it. And that's just right off the bat. Like, that's common sense. You don't even have to see the movie in order to know that it was going to have that. It does have a lot of that. I was surprised to know that this movie isn't generally about like Mr. Rogers. This movie is about Matthew Rice's character, who is a journalist, and he is sent to interview Mr. Rogers and end up befriending him. And Mr. Rogers kind of like changes his life for the better. And so it's basically just a story of that. His friendship with Mr. Rogers, with this chance encounter, and just him getting things together in his life and becoming a better person. And it was well acted. Of course, Tom Hanks did extravagant in it. He did really good as Mr. Rogers. Like, when you watch the movie, you see Mr. Rogers. You don't see Tom Hanks. And that's what I really liked about it, is that he really embodied him. And if you don't know too much about Mr. Rogers, if you've seen the movie Won't You Be My Neighbor, it's a documentary that came out last year, you would get a better sense of who Mr. Rogers is. you know, you might got a sense of him, you know, growing up with the show and all that stuff and everything else. But when you watch the documentary, if you don't know too much about it, you will get a sense of who he is. Because honestly, if you just see this movie right off the bat, don't know really too much about Mr. Rogers, you may get a creepy feeling about it. I don't know. It's it's kind of like one of those things to where it's like you can't believe this person is who he is, but then it's like, yeah, he is who he is. It's not a facade. It's not a character that he played. This is genuinely who he is. He is this person. Mr. Rogers is Fred Rogers. Fred Rogers is Mr. Rogers. He's not a character. This is the person that he is. And he brought that to life. Tom Hanks brought that to life. Matthew Rhys' character, or just Matthew Rhys, he did really good up in this movie. Did really, really good. And just embodied the character that he was playing. And it's like you kind of like felt for him. And like I said, this movie is just filled with emotions. There is a lot of drama, anger, sadness. There is a lot of happiness in this movie, and you feel all that going throughout the movie. So it does its job. And certain styles of the movie are kind of, I had to get used to, but I got used to real quick. There is a transition throughout the film where in between scenes where, you know, it may have stock footage of like city streets and stuff like that. It has that in a toy form, like as like, you know, the what he had in Mr. Rogers and all that stuff. So it was kind of reminiscent of that. So I feel like, just honestly, a lot of people that watch this and know who Mr. Rogers is, grew up watching the show and all that stuff, are going to have a lot of nostalgic feelings of this movie, you know, just going back to their childhood and all that stuff. And it did really, it got to me. You know, it got to me. I wasn't a huge fan of Mr. Rogers. I did watch him when I was a little kid, but you know, I felt like this is going to touch a lot of people, especially if they grew up on him. To give it a rating, I would give this movie a 9. I would give this movie a 9. Definitely go check it out. If you were curious about this movie, definitely check it out. If you were a fan of Mr. Rogers, you grew up with him, like I said, watching him and all that stuff, you would definitely really like this film. You could not get a better person to play Mr. Rogers in this film, and Tom Hanks did incredible. And yeah, so let's go ahead and jump right into the weekend predictions of what movies I think are going to take this weekend. Now, I hadn't altered these, even though this podcast came out later in this week. I didn't alter these in any type of way. These are everything that I had at the beginning of this week. So, of course, Frozen was going to come in. Well, Frozen 2 was going to come in at number 1. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood I picked for number 2. Ford v Ferrari pushed down to number 3. 21 Bridges number 4. And Midway at number 5. Those are my picks, and those I'm sticking with it. And so to end off this podcast, let's jump quickly into what was new to rent on the stream this week. And it was only 2 major movies. Well, 1 major movie and 1 movie I think you guys should go ahead and check out. It was the Explorer movie, Dora and the Lost City of Gold. And the other movie is Blinded by the Light, which is a movie I really think a lot of people should go ahead and check out. And with going ahead talking about it, let's jump into a quick review of it before we end off this podcast. So this movie is about a young Pakistani Muslim boy who is stuck between race and how he and his family is viewed in society in the 80s in Britain, and religion, with following tradition and struggling between how he feels inside as a person and trying to make everyone happy. But when he is introduced to the music of Bruce Springsteen by a fellow student, his whole life changes. He changes, and it goes from pleasing everyone to wanting to please himself and the challenges that come with it. And this movie is, I'll just say, the actor playing the main role, and I know I might butcher this, but it's Vivek Kalra. More than likely, it has more of an accent to when you saying it, but that's just how I'm going to pronounce it, because I'm going to butcher it if I try and do the accent. He did real good in the main role. He carried this movie. Everything, all the awkwardness, all the emotion, in every different scene. The drama, he brought it to this character. He brought it with this character. He did really good. I was really amazed by just how much I care for this character. And just how this movie did with racial discrimination. If you're one of those people that, you know, don't like that in movies or don't like to see that, you probably might be angered by it. But at the same time, it does deal with like how it was. Like, you got a sense of just, even if you're not the race, even if you're not Pakistani and back up in the 80s and stuff, you don't know how it was, you can still feel the tension and how it would have been or how it must have been being another race around that time, because they did a really good job in just exploring that. They didn't go too deep into it, but they did explore it enough to where you can be affected by it. And also, if you are a huge fan of Bruce Springsteen's music, this will probably be a treat for you, because it's played throughout the whole movie. And I kind of like the stylistic way and how they introduced it, because every time that his music is played and it's like actually like a big part of a scene or whatever, it does it in a way to where it feels like a music video, especially when he first listens to it and it's like a stormy night. You can see it in the trailer. It's basically brought to us kind of like a music video. You see the words all against the line, all against the walls and stuff, and just how it's done. I love that all throughout the movie. There's other scenes where you kind of have that same feeling, but what they do it in that same way, and I really did like that about it. But overall, like even though it does have a lot to do with racial discrimination, it is a feel-good movie. When it gets to those feel-good parts, it is a feel-good movie. Like, you find yourself smiling. I mean, although you do find yourself being like immersed into like the drama that goes along with it, the sadness. It has a lot of emotional parts, but it does have a lot of happy, good moments that by the end of the movie you're gonna be like, yo, this is a good movie. At least that's how I feel. When I saw this movie, I thought it was like, man, this movie was really good. I'm mad that I missed seeing it in theaters, because I'm pretty sure that I would have loved that theater experience. But even just catching, like, just watching it at home, I really did like the film. I really did like it. So I would give it a 9 out of 10. If you guys, just so happen to be in a rental video store, go ahead. If you go past it, just pick it up and watch it, or just rent it on like wherever you get your movies from. Whether you get it off of Google Play or iTunes or whatever, or if you just so happen to just come across it and it's like, you just want to watch it, just find the time and watch it. I guarantee you will have a good time. You would really appreciate this film, because it is a really, really good film. Especially if you like films like these and you haven't seen it yet, you will really like it. Guarantee you. And so with that said, that will end this podcast. I'd like to thank you guys for bearing with me and catching this at its late time of this week and everything else. I'm promised to have everything like this podcast drop at the beginning of the week. I'm going to try to do it every single Tuesday. Hopefully I can keep that with my busy schedule and everything else. But thank you guys for joining me. If you like this, go ahead, give it a thumbs up and all that stuff. And everything is going to be at the end of the video. So, again, thanks for listening. And I will catch you guys on next week's episode 4. Peace out. Hey, before you guys leave, make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And you see that little bell? Make sure you hit that to turn on your notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that appears on my channel. Hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.